chat again. What's up, guys? The chat is disabled from the PlayStation screen again, but I do have not the Winter Gamer. What up, bro? What it do? What it do? What it do? We ain't got the winter.
In time allocation, I think one of the things you spend an awful lot of time.
We ain't got the winter soldier in here. We got the winter gamer.
Is artificial intelligence. It's something that everyone have as a shared interest.
All right, winter gamer. What game are you absolutely, totally excited for in 2019? What is going to be your game this year? I know you probably get like more than one game because we like playing games. But that one game, like what will it be? Last year, the one game for me was Red Dead Redemption. Waited all year for it to come out. Pre-ordered it like months in advance. When it came out, got my copy day one. Actually, with the pre-order, you get the midnight release, which was even cooler for my GameStop because they gave us a 9 o'clock release instead of midnight. I got mine at 9 o'clock. By 9:30, I was already playing a game, live streaming it, and people were all on my YouTube like, bro, how do you got the game already? I'm like, yo, my GameStop is the fucking shit, bro. 9 o'clock release, Red Dead Redemption 2. Play that bitch all night. You know, so the Division 2, that. Now, I'm not going to criticize your own personal opinion, but I will interject my own personal opinion, which is you got to be out your crazy ass mind. That's your big game for 2019, the Division 2? Jesus, one of these guys. I had a Division, I got it. I have all the Tom Clancy games that are on the market right now. I have the Division. I have Rainbow Six Siege, and I have Ghost Recon Wildlands, because the Tom Clancy games are pretty good. But, that being said, now, let me repeat, there are currently three Tom Clancy titles on the market. The Division, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's all the same game. They're all the same game. It's just different bullet damage. Rainbow Six Siege has the highest, most realistic bullet damage. Ghost Recon Wildlands, my favorite game, has a moderate level of bullet damage. It's not arcadey, but it's not simulation. And then you have the Division, which is just arcade bullet sponges. You got to put like 10 clips in the enemy, and it's like, that shit is not fun. It's not fun to shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, and you're still shooting the same enemy. Like, that shit is, the bullet damage in there, it's so whack. That's just my own take on it. And I love the Division because the storyline seems pretty badass. The game is beautiful. It looks awesome. The city, you're running around, then it starts snowing, then the snow actually sticks to your fucking jacket and stuff. And it just looks amazing. I'm an artist. I'm into all the graphics and the colors and the design and the layout and the details. I love all that. The Division is beautiful, man. That game looks outstanding. The mechanics, the gunplay, everything in it is good except the bullet damage. It takes too many bullets to drop a motherfucker, man. Jesus. That's the only thing. That's my only drawback from the Division is the bullet damage. My only drawback from Rainbow Six Siege isn't technically the fact that the bullet damage is so high, and if you're not precise, you're not gonna get a kill. Is that I think Rainbow Six Siege is the whole game is set up a little bit too small for me. I come from the sandbox era, Grand Theft Auto. I love big maps, open world games. Uh, my my favorite shooter of all time is probably the Battlefield series. Battlefield is just known for their weapons, their vehicles, and their map size. I just like big maps. And once again, the downside to Rainbow Six Siege is the maps are really small and the matches are really quick. So you're on this little teeny map and you only got like 4 minutes to complete the objective. Like I said, I come from Battlefield where you're on a battlefield and one match might take you 35 minutes to play just one round of Battlefield. You plan it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And but I think Rainbow Six Siege, no, Ghost Recon Wildlands is the game that I'm playing the most. I actually left Red Dead Redemption 2 alone for a little while to go back to Ghost Recon Wildlands just because I think it's an excellent game. Um, the uh, the campaign co-op mode is fantastic. The PvP online mode is fantastic. They're constantly adding new content and new missions to the core story mode. They're adding new characters and loadouts to the PvP mode. And the maps don't feel constricted or claustrophobic, but they're not like really gigantic maps like Battlefield. And then at the same time, it's not like the enemies aren't bullet sponges. You can take two guys down with one clip. You know what I'm saying? And this past week they did community settings for the gameplay, and everything was in hardcore. So the bullet damage was upped. No revives. They just made it really, really realistic, and it was a good time playing it. This guy said the Division. Lord of mercy. Lord of mercy. This dude said the Division. I'm waiting on the Division Part 2. That's the only game I'm waiting on. Oh, yeah. I cannot believe that. Ready to go. The PvP on Recon. Oh, man. That's the whole thing. All they did was took the whole story plot and made it PvP. They're pretty dope. Ready to go.
Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy stocks, ETFs, and cryptocurrencies all commission-free. Getting started is easy, and you can invest in the
You said that artificial intelligence is the
What? What up, guys? Oh, as a matter of fact.
Man. I got 3 over here.
Me and my homies was playing some Ghost Recon the other day.
Yeah. You know in real life it's fucking survive that shit, motherfucker. Alright, Travis, let's go get this fucking package, bro.
Tango.
We gotta get to these other 2 guys, how do you?
Clear. Kozak, check out that bomb and see what you can do.
Oh shit, where the bomb at?
Yo, he was in there tearing it up on that Ghost Recon, boy. Tearing it up.
Total clusterfuck.
This thing's a total clusterfuck.
Oh fuck.
As soon as I get out of the studio, I'm gonna go turn the game on downstairs and play some more Ghost Recon. Thanks for the compliments on the painting. So this
Thinking about it, no.
this character comes from my homeboy from Los Angeles, Butch Loxon. He does these performance. He does these art performances where he dresses like this skull and has these smoke containers that he puts out. And so there's the first painting that I did from one of his pictures. So I did that from one of his photographs, and I'm going to do a 3-part series. The smoking skull, or I might call it full of smoke. There's the second one in the series. He's sitting on top of like a drum, and he has an umbrella, and he's catching smoke in the umbrella. And it's all crazy, man. That thing is crazy, son. So yeah, you got that one. You got the big skull, and then you got this one right here. Mr. Relaxation Skull. He just chilling. But I've been working on the building in the background, trying to get some bricks and stuff back there, and some details in the back. That's what I'm going to jump back on now. Been working with my paint knife, so I'm not actually. This isn't brush work at all back here. This is basically my knife, just scratching paint on there, and trying to get it to look rough and textured like bricks, even from a distance. So when you stand kind of far back from it like that, it does kind of resemble a brick wall. So probably just kind of work on this area here and this dark area right here for like an hour or so until I get hungry or whatever, until I feel like going to play the game or something. This is my 3rd time in the studio today. I think I've been here twice so far. No, I've been here. This is my 2nd time in the studio. I was in here like 3 times yesterday, just working on some other stuff, trying to get the soles of his shoes to look right. And this morning, like I said, I just started pulling out the knife and working on that brick wall back there. So we'll continue to work on that. Make sure my lines are staying straight, which is the hardest thing for me. Anybody who's ever seen my stream or has ever heard me talk about art, you guys know I love to paint people. I consider myself a portrait artist, and I hate painting straight lines because straight lines are kind of hard to paint. My hand isn't that steady, and I don't like going straight across for a long time. So this background right here is going to have several straight lines on it. Just want to take my time with it, make sure they look even and believable, so that when viewers see it in the gallery, it's not throwing their perspective off and people are like, that line's kind of crooked. MB. It's actually coming. I haven't done. Oh man, my sketch pad is always on the first floor, but I've got I just been playing around with your face a lot, just trying to really. I almost have your face memorized. Basically, I stare at your face a lot. Yo, you're so pretty. But yeah, I started 2 sketches already from the last set of pictures you sent me. So I got like two little rough sketches, no real details in it, just kind of like the shape of your eyes and the shape of your nose. And I did the same thing on a different drawing and just practicing really and trying to get ready for another legit drawing. But the next one I do is probably going to be way more detailed than any drawing you've seen from me before. I always feel like, just my sketches are decent and I can draw pretty good. But I want to do a drawing that I can charge like $500, $600 for. A drawing that's good enough to go in a gallery as a work of art itself. And so instead of doing like a 2-hour sketch and saying, hey, look what I did, I'm going to really take some time down and sit down and try to put, 10, 12 hours into a drawing. I have some really fine, detailed drawing pencils now, so I can gather up more details and more subtle tones. The last thing I really need to acquire is a drafting table or a drawing table. I don't really have a table that's perfect for me to draw on. Most of the time I'm just drawing on the coffee table in the living room, but we'll get around that. And my man Trippy Land. But yeah, I've definitely been working on your drawings. My girlfriend's looking at me like, who's that? I'm like, it's my friend. What does it concern you for? It's just my friend. I think somebody's jealous. Don't get jealous. It's just my muse, my little sexy muse. Oh, pretty ass. Little pretty ass toes. Big old boob she got. Let me stop talking. I'm still live streaming? Damn. My bad. I'm about to ruin stuff. I'm about to ruin some shit and get myself in trouble. About to get both of us in trouble. Cut it out now. My little muse. It was kind of hot. The smoke felt hot. I think I need to put an ice cube in my bone. Why the smoke? I feel like I was sucking on the dryer. The dryer vent, just hot, dry air. I got water in there, ain't it? Man, it don't feel like none of the smoke passed through the water. I need a drink. God damn. Shit got me parched. See, y'all ain't know I turned this grape juice into wine. Smell it. Smell that shit start to ferment. Man, that weed was strong. I think I hit it too hard. My throat dry. I almost coughed twice just now. Y'all know I don't be coughing because I'm a professional. And professionals don't cough. But we do need some grape juice to wash it down sometimes. Woo! See? That's what I be talking about. Damn. Lou. Now I need some more pictures. I got to see this. Send me some now. Right now. My man Lou. Oh, what it do, Lou? About to take that trip to Trippy Land. Man, you hit that thing that hard, you ain't got nowhere else to go but Trippy Land. About to take a trip to Trippy Land. Whew, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm still trying to catch my breath. My boobs getting big, yo. See how big my boobs is, though? Damn. Gotta cut that out, boy. Damn. Boobs gonna be big as yours sooner or later, MB. Man, I'm gonna have big boobs too. Walk around like this. Super swole. And say, damn, Trap, what is that? I'm like, nigga. That shit feel swole, son. I ain't even go to the gym this morning. Oh, there was some crazy shit. All day I've been fucking with my cars, y'all. I got 2 cars. I got 2 older cars. So my Equinox, I say, man, in the past couple months, yo, it's like the key, a stick sometimes. The ignition key, you put the key in and it won't turn. It just won't turn at all to the arm position. It's not like it won't start. You can't even get the fucking key to turn to start. And so it gets stuck. You gotta wiggle it a little bit, and then it'll snap. Like, and so, like I say, it happened to me twice. And it happened to my girl one time. She was driving the truck, and she said it happened to her where she couldn't fucking, it wouldn't just turn for her. She had to like wiggle it a little bit. And then one time, me and my homie was hanging out, and we was going somewhere. He knew where we was going, and I didn't. So I let him drive. I don't like being in the car with somebody and you giving me directions. You know where we going? Then you drive they motherfucker. Get your ass here and you go there. Why you telling me, oh, turn left, turn right? Then you drive. That's how I do it. You know where we going? You got a license? Okay, then you drive us there. I'll watch the street signs and everything, and I'll remember how to get there. But I don't like driving, and you right beside me, and you know where we going, and you trying to dictate me at left and right turns. No. But anyway, so me and my homie going somewhere. Let's go do this. All right, let's go. You driving? You drive. Shit, I don't give a fuck. So he get in the passengers in the driver's seat. I hand him the keys, and it happened to him. And he tried to turn. He was like, "Yo, your key not turning." I'm like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Yo, just turn the steering wheel and wiggle the key." That's the magic motion that makes shit happen. You know, it's like, well, you know. But anyway, so he wiggled the key a little bit, and it started, and we just went about our day. And so this morning, I get up early, like always, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm getting up, getting my energy ready. I goddamn, I make my pre-workout drink, and get ready for the gym. I go outside to start the truck up. Motherfucking key won't turn. I said, this son of a bitch doing that shit again. So, all right, get ready for the motions. You gotta do the swerve and the wiggle. The swerve, and that shit ain't working though. I'm talking about nothing. I mean, that bitch, I was there about 40 minutes. I ain't gonna lie, yo. About 40 minutes. Trying to get that key to turn, man. That shit would not turn, yo. I said, this motherfucker done broke. So now, I come back in the house. I go straight to YouTube University and about to learn some shit this morning. My ignition won't turn. And so I started looking at what people saying, other people, any problem you have, everybody got the same problems. And you know what? Somebody got your exact same problem, but unlike you, they recorded they shit. That's all it is. I got a problem. Let me see what somebody else did when they had the exact same problem. So I'm looking at people dissing that, dissing that. One of the simplest things, somebody was like, yo, believe it or not, man, on cars this old, because my car is a 2006. He's like, on cars this old, the insertion of your key over time, day in and day out, year after year after year, for fucking 10 years, 11 years, he's like, yeah, your key gets worn down. So I'm looking at my key, I was like, you know what, that motherfucker is kind of worn down. Took my key to the key shop, they made me a copy of it, and it started. Kind of. It's, you still gotta wiggle that shit a little bit, but it'll start. Like the old key that shit won't work at all no more. So I figured that's a temporary fix until I find whoever. I call one mechanic and ask him, can he change my ignition switch out for me? He was like, oh, I'm packed till next week. I'm like, dude, that's like a 2-hour job. You ain't, whatever. All the way until next week. All right. So I called another place. At first, I was trying to find somebody to come out and do it because the car couldn't move. And some other, this one place, swear to God, man, if I can see it from my front porch. If I stand on my front porch and look down the block, I can see this goddamn little car shop, the little auto repair shop. I asked them motherfuckers to come down. I was like, yo, can y'all come help me with my ignition? We don't do roadside or whatever. I'm like, bro, I'm on the same block that you're on. He was like, yeah, but we don't come out though. I'm like, really? A block away? You ain't gonna come get that money a block away? Whatever you charge me, motherfucker, you could have charged me $200. I don't fucking know, you know what I'm saying? I would have figured like it would have been too much, but you know what I'm saying? Shit, I wanted it done. I wanted it done right then. And motherfucker was like, oh, like, bruh. I'm like, yo, I'm on the same block, like, literally. He was like, nah. I was like, all right, whatever, yo. And so that's when I just went and got the key made. But but anyway, and then, well, even going to get the key was crazy because my Monte Carlo. So I was like, all right, the Equinox won't start. Let me go get the Monte Carlo. I will go to start that shit up. The battery dead. So I'm out there in the damn snow. Man, it's 1 degree outside. I'm trying to jump the goddamn car off. So I get that started, let it run. That's when I was streaming in. And then I finally get the key for the Equinox and all that. And then when I try to start the Equinox, that battery dead. Man, I couldn't win this morning, yo. But I swear I couldn't win for nothing this morning. Yo, Boston. All right, peace, MB. Yeah, it was a rough start to the day. A rough start to the day. And then went to finally put this handrail up, yo. I took it down before I got the carpet in, but after the carpet was put in, the new carpet, it kind of like, it looked nice, like without the handrail. And it's like where, like how my steps coming up from the first floor to the second floor is 3 steps. it's 3 steps, a landing, and then you got the other steps that go like that. And so it's only like 3 steps, but those 3 steps had like this little short handrail right there. And like I said, I took it down when I was ripping the carpet up and never put it back. And it's like, you don't really need a handrail right there. It's only 3 steps. If you can't make it 3 steps without falling, it's like, geez, you know, I might as well get you one of those stair chairs that just carry you all the way upstairs by that time if you can't go 3 steps. But anyway, I wound up putting that up today because it just when I took it down, I painted it white and like put a nice coat of paint on it and everything, make it look new. And like I said, when I when I set it there, it's like, I don't know. So that shit just been sitting there for a couple weeks. I finally like screwed it back in today, and then doing that, I realized now the bolts I got are too fucking long. Oh my Jesus! So the bolts were too long. I had to get different bolts for it, and it was like, man, I couldn't win today. Like everything I tried to tackle today was on some, you gonna lose. And then the easiest thing I did was I hung some blinds in the bathroom. The MK11. Jesus. And then I finally got my list together for my upcoming shows. So, and for February, I plan on having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 paintings. I'll have 23 paintings throughout the city for Black History Month. So if you're in the area and you can't see some of my art, you just lame and you ain't even trying hard enough. If you in the area in the month of February and don't see some of my art somewhere, you just ain't go nowhere. You just didn't even leave the house. Cause I'm about to be everywhere for Black History Month. And this is, like I said, I keep saying this over and over, but I see it. It's like it's that I've reached that point where I'm so recognizable as an artist, and the fact that I am black, it stands out even more because the city I live in is the demographics is so heavy on one side that it's crazy. Like everybody knows it and everybody can notice it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I keep saying a number sometimes, and this is a new year, and they took the census, so let's see what it is right now. All right, this is the Wikipedia for Scranton. Scranton is the sixth largest city in the Commonwealth of PA. It's the county seat of Lackawanna County with a population of 77,291. It is the largest city in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Hazleton metropolitan area. It's about what it said. A little more than 77,000 people. Out of 77,000 people, it's 84.11% are Caucasian. 84.11. It was a little bit different a couple years ago when I first checked. It was like 86. So there's a 2% change somewhere. The Latino population. Wow. Look, so even where I live at, right? It's 5.45% African Americans and 9.9% Latino. And I mean, just those numbers alone right there makes it kind of easy for me. And that's the truth. It just does. It just kind of makes it easy for me because in this area, there's not a lot of people doing what I'm doing. It's just not. There's like, it's only 5.45% African American. And so now, like, once again, like, I'll have so many paintings around the city next month. And I know it's mostly due to Black History Month. There's people just try to celebrate Black history during Black History Month and showcase different things. And it's like there's so many locations who ask me to participate because there's not a lot of other Black artists who are making art. You know, like who are making art on a regular basis and you know, like something positive that everybody can look at. You know, kids, young adults, you know, older people. Like anybody can check out my art. And so I feel like the simple fact that there isn't a lot of competition, even just friendly competition, I see this as an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to take as much advantage of it as I possibly can. You know, and I keep thinking about moving like to different areas, but I'll be in an area where so many other people are trying to do the same thing I'm doing, or art is very similar in some cases. And then I try to look at my stuff and I try to be as original and unique as possible when it comes to my art. But I know there's still a lot of other artists that inspire me, even in this local area where I'm at. But once again, it's like, what's happening there? It's just like, I don't know. I'm in a pretty good situation right now. I'm in a pretty decent area that does have a sense of art culture. There is a museum. Uh, there are art scholarships. There are art classes that the local university gives, and so this area is kind of into the arts. And so just by me being so standoutish from, the demographics alone, just gives me that advantage to be highlighted in a way. And the last part of last year in December and the first part of this year, I've been able to be a part of certain events and activities that I haven't been aware of before. And me participating in these activities once again makes it even more standoutish, because sometimes I'm like the only African American there. And it sends a really big message to everyone else in the room, like, yes, I'm trying to do the exact same thing that you're doing. And and just like the art grant that I submitted for, um, do I feel like I'll be awarded the grant the first time I submit for it? Probably not. And sometimes I think it may be um, the grant writers try to put you through the grinder to make sure you deserve it. And that's just how I would think too, if I was on the other side of the board. Like, he's good, he's real good, and he says that he's gonna do this awesome stuff. Deny him this time. Make him prove to us that the awesome stuff that he keeps talking about, make him do it and bring that back the next time. And then that second time around, be like, oh, you are good, for real, for real. All right, then give him the grant. I would do something like that. All right, like, if you deny it the first time, are you not gonna come back and try it again? Oh, you must be really wanting about that shit, or you must be ran out of juice or something. You know what I'm saying? So even me just thinking and that's just like some tough love. I would look at it as like some tough love stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I would try to judge candidates, especially candidates who I thought really had the juice. I would deny them. I would deny them their first time. Show me you prove it some more. you know? And so, me submitting for the grant, do I think I will be awarded the grant my first time applying for it? More than likely, no. Will I make it to the interview phase the first time I apply for it? Probably a slight chance that may happen. Um, but above all, will my work stand out? Will my application and my portfolio stand out in itself? Oh, definitely, definitely. Because I'm not university trained. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not pushing a message that's common to themes in this area, and I'm constantly in the galleries around here. I'm constantly showing with other artists, who painters, sculptors, photographers, digital artists. I'm constantly showing with other artists, so I kind of know what's going around. You know what I'm saying? And my shit ain't like nobody else's. I was teaching an art class the other day at the dance studio, and a guy from the newspaper come in there. I didn't even know he was coming in there. I got a phone call today from a other homie saying that she was getting interviewed by the newspaper, and she dropped my name in it, and she was, and the interviewer was like, "Oh, can we print his name?" And she was like, "Yeah, put his name in there." And then she called me. She was like, "Yo, I just told the newspaper they can print your name if they want to, and a picture of your art if they want to." I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's what's up." Yeah, you keep telling them that. But yeah, they need to get the funds out. I know that's how it works too. If because in order to keep that grant and keep it going, they gotta give it out. But so yeah, I was giving an art class, and a guy from the newspaper comes in, and I didn't notice him at first, but he comes in, he has a camera, he takes a picture, and he asks my name. He's like, "Are you giving the class?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So are you the teacher?" I'm like, I'm like more of an instructor, I guess." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then so he asked if he can get some shots of me and some of the students while they were working, which I was working the room anyway because I already gave them an assignment, and so I'm trying to go to each individual student and see how they're progressing on their work, and so he took a couple pictures and asked some of the kids their names, and then he and I had some art there too, and he looks at the paintings. Then he kind of walks away a little bit, and he comes back and he says, "Are these your paintings?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "So you painted them?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Dude, I've seen some stuff like this before." He was you can see he was really racking his brain. He was like, "Man, I seen something at one of the galleries in the window." I said, "Well, there's a painting of me in the window at the gallery now, and it's me nude from the back, and my arms are stretched above my head." And he was like, "No, no, not that." He was like, "It was a while ago. I seen another painting. It was like two people, and they were in the house or something, and how he was describing it, it wasn't even coming to me." So I kind of thought about the piece he was saying for a minute, and then he kind of walked off again, and he was taking pictures of some other stuff, and he came back. He was like, "Yo," he was like, "I just looked on your Instagram." He's like, it's a dude and a girl, and they're in the kitchen, and they're like smoking cigars." I'm like, "Yeah, that was hot." He was like, "Yeah, I remember that piece was in the window at the gallery, and I walked by and saw it." He was like, "It was just, it's just like it looked really real, like some real life stuff." And I was like, "Yeah," and you can tell like. I don't know. He really wasn't trying to say it, but he was surprised that it was me. You know what I'm saying? He looked at me. He's like, "Wow, you really did that and did all this stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, that's good stuff." But that's how I want my art to be, man. Like whenever the first time he saw it, it made an impact on him. You know what I'm saying? And he remembered that piece. He couldn't remember the exact image, but probably more or less the feeling of like, yo, I can kind of relate to that. So it's kind of, it's that feeling that it gives you that sticks with you, even if you can't remember like every detail of the painting. But he knew it. He when he saw those other paintings, he knew it was the same artist. He didn't know my name or anything. He just know the style of the art. So that's always dope. You know what I'm saying? And so I say that again just to say that I'm always out there in the gallery just trying to be as active and make as much art as I can. And it's been paying off. Recently, over the past couple of years, it's been paying off where people are recognizing my art. And they see the style of my art. And once again, they don't have to know the name. That's why I stopped signing my paintings. I think I'm to the point where if you see it, you can tell it's mine, especially in this local area. Like they know it's my stuff now. So now I just gotta figure out on how to capitalize on the fact that my art is locally as recognizable as it is. Even my homie Fahamu Peku, he did like merchandise one time, but he sells his art for like $30,000. But then he sells socks and t-shirts and stuff too, and it's like I keep thinking about, because these are university cities. The city I used to live in, the city I currently live in, they both got universities, a couple of them. So I'm thinking about making the Dank series into some t-shirts for the summertime, Probably just print up a couple of dozen of each just to see how they sell, and then try to sell some online. But everybody know the Dank series, and so just have the t-shirt the same color as the background of the painting, so it doesn't really look like a painting. It just looks like, the image on the shirt. So we'll try that. Yeah, you did. So that's what I'm thinking, and just be like I say, I'm getting my art is recognizable now, and people know it when they see it, and I've had several people like the one place that I'm showing that also is just the guy who manages this it's a cafe. He saw my art at the gallery one time, and so he had to tell me the story the first time I met him. I was hanging out at my homeboy's clothing boutique, and I had like one or two paintings in his shop. He was like, "Oh, this one kid is here. His name is Matt. He said he saw your painting somewhere, and he said he really wanted to meet you." And I'm like, and that shit is always funny, yo, when like people say they wanted to meet me. It's like, oh my god, I don't know what the fuck to say. Like, what's up? My name Trap. But anyway, he was like, oh, he just wanted to meet you. I was like, okay, cool. So he went and got the kid, right? So he came back. He was like, dude, you're Travis? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh man, just wanted to shake your hand. Just wanted to say, man, your stuff is awesome. He said, I was walking. He's like, me and my girlfriend was walking from Bawana's Pizza, and it's a little pizza joint at the corner of the block where the art gallery is at. And said they just got some pizza, and they was walking down the block, and said they walked past the gallery. He was like, man, I ain't gonna lie, I did some acid, but I was feeling real nice, and I saw your painting, and it was like, it had me mesmerized, yo. You can ask my girlfriend. I stood there for like a couple minutes. And then I kind of just sat down. I just sat Indian style on the sidewalk and just looked at your painting for like 10 minutes. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just so awesome to me. I was like, yo, dude, you is bugging. He was like, it's like, yo, it was so fucking crazy. That painting is awesome, dude. And I was like, yo, I appreciate it. But anyway, then he said he manages a cafe or something that asked if I wanted to put some art in there. And so I went to Spencer. So I went to check out the space, and it's a nice space, yo. It's nice. It looks really nice. It looks like it looks like something that should be downtown Manhattan, where you got to pay like $27 for a cup of coffee or something like that. It was pretty close to it because I got me some kombucha in a flatbread, and that thing was like $14 for a half a sandwich and some kombucha. I was like, Jesus. But that's the kind of place I want. You know what I'm saying? Those are the cafes and boutiques. Like my homeboy's clothing boutique. Man, he said he got shoes in there for $280, $360 pair of shoes. Like some of the cheapest stuff. I ain't gonna lie, I got a Psycho Bunny polo shirt, and that's like one of the cheapest things he had in the store, bro. It was $98 for just a short sleeve polo shirt. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, it's hard for me to shop with you, homie. Like, jeez. But that's where I want to put my art at, because anybody coming there, you know whoever's shopping in there, they got money, yo. They got their bread, and then on top of that, if they ain't got their bread, they about to get this knowledge from this art. So wake your ass up. Well, something positive is gonna come out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm putting my art where normally people wouldn't see that shit. So it gonna go one or two ways. You gonna learn something, or you gonna learn something, and I might make a couple dollars. But either way, you gonna learn something. But like I say, the last place that invited me to show some art for February is a library. Bro, you think I ain't gonna put all the reader series up in there? Pfft, come on. Had a whole reader series in the library. Wow, this young man paints people reading books. Yeah, isn't a library a perfect place for that? Mommy, what's that book? Oh, we don't have that in the library. Mommy, what's that book? Oh, we don't have that in the library. Why y'all ain't got these books in the library? See? Conversation starters. I've never read that. Even the employees, the Miss Librarian, she's like, I've never heard of that book. Excuse me, are these books real? Are these real books? I remember somebody asked me that question. Oh my God. Are those real books? Nah, bruh. I just make them up. You know, I made up all these books. I made up all the titles, the authors, all that. You know what I'm saying? Imaginary. Did you read all those books? So you sideways trying to call me a dummy, or you sideways trying to say I can't read, or are you sideways asking me if I can read? Did you read all those books? The question you want to say is, do you know how to read? I was reading some Fahamu Peku. I was taking well, you know what I'm saying. Some people read newspapers, and some people read magazines. Most of the time, people just use their phone when they're in the bathroom now. Now, time for some business. Time for the business. Gotta paint these bricks. Time for some business. Gotta paint these bricks. Oh, it's business. I gotta paint these bricks. I got bricks on the corners now, and I'm trying to get a fix. Hey, time for the business. I gotta paint these bricks. Time for the business. Damn, but I should have been a singer, boy. Man, that's a Motown classic right there. Time for the business. Gotta pay these bricks. I put the bricks on the corner, and I gotta get a fix. Ooh, them bricks ain't looking bricky enough. My lines are terrible, man. Damn, bro. What's up with these straight lines, Trap? You gotta Trap. You gotta do something, man. You gotta do something about them lines, bruh. Straight lines ain't looking parallel. You know what I'm saying? They not looking like they're intersecting at the proper vertices. They're not congruent. I'm just saying words now. I'm just I'm just talking, you know. It's filibuster, man. You know, it's just filling in the time, see, because every once in a while, when a man wants to hold a conversation with a person who's not really interested in what they're saying, the best thing to do is to ramble slightly, enter some conjectures and a few queries, allow them to ponder, analyze, wash, rinse, repeat. And these are very simple techniques used by individuals such as myself, known as fast talkers, in order to confuse the listener by misappropriating God, am I bored or what? What's wrong? Is that a problem? This dude, yo, Code 22. This guy come here and says W. This dude just says W. Who knows the difference between driving and traveling? Who knows the difference between driving and traveling?
Way too litty. It's litty. And quiet. Hello. Look at this one.
Yo, it takes forever for him to get to the part though. Yo, This dude speaks Mandarin, yo.
哦，这是我第一次来，对，但是后来出现。
Yo, it just too.
Oh yeah, I want to get to the shrimp fried rice, the pork.
Two quarters from fried rice? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, see now. Thank you.
It's quiet.
Is it quiet?
It's always this quiet. It's always this quiet.
We okay with y'all.
你来自中国啊？来自中国啊？
我来自中国，对呀。
中国的哪里？
我是来福建。
哦，大家都来自福建。
大家都来自。那跳舞哪的话呢？
大家都来自福建。谢谢。这个餐馆开了多久了？
我们在这已经有快15年了吧。
15。
15人。我们本来是在那边的，然后这used to be a staggered chicken.
哦。
他们换了我们的方式。
Just the geometry thing, that's right.
Oh, wait, what?
Yo. Yeah, that shit shocked the hell out of her. He was like, "You from China?" It's weird because like Mandarin is a pretty tough language to learn, yo. Even Dr. Boyce Watkins said he was trying to learn Mandarin. He was like, "Screw that shit." But yeah, because they immediately went, started talking their own language, and then when he said something, they was like, "Oh shit, he know what we just said." I know a little bit of Spanish. I can understand a little more Spanish than I can speak because I can barely speak it, but that's it. I wish I knew like Russian or German or Swedish a language. I'm about to make myself sound a lot more ignorant than I really am. Sweden. Danish? No, maybe. Dang, yo, there was a video that lost it now.
Is artificial intelligence. It's something that you and I have as a shared interest, and it's something that our audience is interested in as well. The question here is, a lot of experts in AI don't share the same level of concern that you do about the dangers of AI.
Fools.
What
Famous last words.
What specifically do you believe that they don't?
Well, the biggest issue I see with so-called AI experts is that they think they know more than they do. And they think they're smarter than they actually are. In general, we are all much smarter than we think we are, but much less smart, dumber than we think we are, by a lot. So this tends to plague smart people. They just can't. They define themselves by their intelligence, and they don't like the idea that a machine could be way smarter than them, so they discount the idea, which is fundamentally flawed. That's the wishful thinking situation. I'm really very close to the cutting edge in AI, and it scares the hell out of me. It's capable of vastly more than almost anyone knows, and the rate of improvement is exponential. You can see this in things like AlphaGo, which went from, in the span of maybe 6 to 9 months, it went from being unable to beat even a reasonably good Go player to then beating the European world champion, who was ranked 600, then beating Lee Sedol 4-5, who had been world champion for many years, then beating the current world champion, then beating everyone while playing simultaneously. Then there was AlphaZero, which crushed AlphaGo 100-0. And AlphaZero just learned by playing itself, and it can play basically any game that you put the rules in for. Whatever rules you give it, you literally read the rules, play the game, and be superhuman for any game. Nobody expected that rate of improvement. If you ask those same experts who think AI is not progressing at the rate that I'm saying, I think you will find that their predictions for things like Go and other AI advancements have their batting average is quite weak. It's not good. We'll see this also.
Yo, T, what's up? Everybody remember the movie Blade Runner with Harrison Ford? Who remembers that movie? Yo, what? In the movie Blade Runner, what year was it? Mm-mm. 2019. Yeah, in the movie Blade Runner, the date in the movie was the year 2019. Damn. Yeah, 2019. Had fucking androids and all kind of shit. It's weird, like listening to all these talks about AI. It seems like our science fiction leaders really didn't foresee the rise of computer and machine intelligence outside of the robot. And all our old science fiction movies is like, oh, robots, and even once again, like Blade Runner was all about, can you tell the difference if this is an android or not? Can you tell it's a robot or not? But our world has moved in a direction of external components like the internet and all these other AI devices. But we're getting so close to it, all we got to do now is put all of our AI devices inside of a machine that looks like a human. I keep saying this over and over and over, but Ghost in the Shell has predicted more about the future more correctly than any other science fiction reference that I know of. Like, Ghost in the Shell has been damn near spot on because they focused on the development of the internet and human augmentations. Alright, I'm gonna need some more purple. These bricks are kind of reddish purple. Get some ultramarine violet. Ooh, that's hard to come out. Come on out of there. Nope. Jesus Christ. Breaking in their carpet the painter's way. That's why I've been wearing gloves a lot.
With self-driving. I think probably by end of next year, self-driving will encompass essentially all modes of driving and be at least 100 to 200% safer than a person. by the end of next year. We're talking like maybe 18 months from now. NHTSA did a study on Tesla's Autopilot version 1, which is relatively primitive, and found that it was a 45% reduction in highway accidents. And that's despite Autopilot 1 being just version 1. Version 2, I think, will be at least 2 or 3 times better. That's the current version that's running right now. So the rate of improvement is really dramatic. We have to figure out some way to ensure that the advent of digital superintelligence is one which is symbiotic with humanity. I think that's the single biggest existential crisis that we face, and the most pressing one.
And how do we do that? I mean, if we take it that it's inevitable at this point, that some version of AI is coming down the line, how do we steer through that?
Well, I'm not normally an advocate of regulation and oversight. I mean, I think one should generally err on the side of minimizing those things. But this is a case where you have a very serious danger to the public. And therefore, there needs to be a public body that has insight and then oversight to confirm that everyone is developing AI safely. This is extremely important. I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads, landlocked. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want. That would be insane. And mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes. Far. So why do we have no regulatory oversight? This is insane.
Well, it's a question you've been asking for a long time. I think it's a question that's come to the forefront over the last year, where you begin to realize that it doesn't necessarily, I think if we've all been focused in on the idea of artificial superintelligence, right? Which is clearly a danger, but maybe, a little further out. What's happened over the last year is you've seen what I've been calling artificial stupidity. You're talking about, algorithmic manipulation of social media. Like we're in it now. It's starting to happen. How do we, what's the intervention at this point?
I'm not really all that worried about the short-term stuff. Things that are, like narrow AI is not a species-level risk. It will result in dislocation, in lost jobs, and sort of better weaponry and that kind of thing. But it is not a fundamental species-level risk, whereas digital superintelligence is. So it's really all about laying the groundwork to make sure that if humanity collectively decides that creating digital superintelligence is the right move, then we should do so very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. This is the most important thing that we could possibly do.
Yeah. Building on that, other than AI and the other issues that you're tackling, transportation, energy production, airspace, what issues should our next generation of leaders be focused on solving? What else is coming down the line?
Well, I mean, there are other things that are on a longer time scale. And obviously the things that I believe in, like extending life beyond Earth, making life multiplanetary. I'm a big believer in sort of Asimov's Foundation series, or the principle that you really want to, I recommend reading the Foundation series, but it's like if you know that there's likely to be, we don't know, but there's likely to be another Dark Ages, which it seems, my guess is there probably will be at some point. I'm not predicting that we're about to enter Dark Ages, but that there's some probability that we will, particularly if there's a Third World War. Then we want to make sure that there's enough of a seed of human civilization somewhere else to bring civilization back, and perhaps shorten the length of the Dark Ages. I think that's why it's important to get a self-sustaining base. Ideally on Mars, because Mars is far enough away from Earth that a war on Earth, the Mars base might survive. is more likely to survive than a moon base. But I think a moon base and a Mars base that could perhaps help regenerate life back here on Earth would be really important, and to get that done before a possible World War III. Last century we had 2 massive world wars, 3 if you count the Cold War. I think it's unlikely that we will never have another World War again. There probably will be at some point.
Or if we have another one, it'll be the last.
Yeah, it just could be radioactive rubble. So, again, I'm not predicting. It just seems like, well, if you say given enough time, will it be? Most likely, given enough time. This has been our pattern in the past. I really believe in the zeroth law of Asimov's zeroth law. You're going to take the set of actions most likely to support humanity in the future. But I think sustainable energy is also obviously really important. It's tautological. If it's not sustainable, it's unsustainable.
Yeah, how close are we to solving that problem?
Well, I think that the core technologies are there with the wind, solar, with batteries. The fundamental problem is that there's an unpriced externality in the cost of CO2. The market economics works very well if things are priced correctly, but when things are not priced correctly, and something that has a real cost has zero cost, then that's where you get distortions in the market that inhibit the progress of other technologies. So essentially anything that produces carbon, it puts carbon into the atmosphere, which includes rockets, by the way, so I'm not excluding rockets from this. There has to be a price. And that you can start off with a low price, but then that price, and then depending upon whether that price has any effect on the parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere, you can adjust that price up or down. But in the absence of a price, we sort of pretend that digging trillions of tons of fossil fuels from deep under the earth and putting it into the atmosphere, we're pretending that has no probability of a bad outcome. And the entire scientific community is saying, obviously, it's going to have a bad outcome. Obviously, you're changing the chemical constituency of the atmosphere. So it's really up to people and governments to put a price on carbon, and then automatically the right thing happens. It's really straightforward.
What do we do with the carbon that's already out there?
I actually think we can manage with the current carbon level, or even a little bit higher. And this is going to sound like I'm backtracking, but there's actually an argument that more carbon in the atmosphere is actually good, but up to a point. So we might actually arguably have been a little carbon starved. If you go back 200 years ago and say, okay, well, a few hundred years ago, we had 280, 290 parts per million of carbon. We're probably a little carbon starved. Now we're about 400, just past the 400 mark. I think somewhere in the 400s, probably okay. We don't have to worry about sequestering carbon or anything like that. But now, if this momentum keeps going, and we start going up to 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500, that's where things get really squirrely. The sheer momentum of the world's energy infrastructure is leading us in that direction. So it's just very important that the public and the governments push to ensure that the correct price of carbon is paid. So that will be the thing that matters. Yeah.
Our audience is very interested in knowing how many hours of sleep you got last night.
I don't know, about 5 or 6, I think. 5?
I feel like we know part of the answer to this because you were trapped in Westworld for a while. But how, I mean, on a regular day for you, are you sleeping? You're not sleeping a lot, right?
Well, geez, do I look that bad?
You look great. But we just imagine with the amount of responsibilities, with the amount of, with what you've got going on, do these problems still keep you up at night, or do you think we're on our way to solving them?
Well, right now the only things that are really stressing me out in a big way are AI, obviously. That's like always there. And I'm working really hard on Tesla Model 3 production. We're making good progress, but it's hugely hard work. But those are the two most stressful things in my life right now. Yeah.
Our audience really wants to know, what do you hope the world will look like for children born today when they're your age?
What, sorry?
What do you hope for the world to look like? What's the best case scenario? Say we solve these problems. What's that world look like?
Well, let's see. So, I think a good future would look like, we really substantially transferred to sustainable generation and consumption of electricity, so that the CO2 risk and the ocean rising risk is mitigated. And we're not looking at having Florida and sort of large portions of the world underwater. That'd be great. But not to have addressed that risk. That'd be enormous. For us to have a base on the moon, base on Mars, to be out there exploring the solar system, start building industry on essentially having human civilization go out there and have it be such that anyone can go to the moon or Mars or out to the solar system if they want, to make it really affordable. I do think it's important that there's competition, that there are multiple companies doing this, not just SpaceX. And that AI risk is that I guess it's the sort of a benign AI, and that we're able to achieve a symbiosis with that AI. Ideally, the AI. There's somebody who I can't remember his name, but had a good suggestion for what the optimization of the AI should be. What's its utility function? You have to be careful about this, because you say maximize happiness, and the AI concludes that happiness is a function of dopamine and serotonin, so it captures all humans, injects your brain with large amounts of dopamine and serotonin. Like, okay, it's not what we meant.
It sounds pretty good, though.
Oh, you'll love it. Well, I like the definition of the AI should try to maximize the freedom of action of humanity. Maximize the freedom of action. Maximize freedom, essentially. I like that definition. But we do want a close coupling between collective human intelligence and digital intelligence. And Neuralink is trying to help in that regard by creating an interface between a high bandwidth interface between AI and human brain. We're already a cyborg in the sense that your phone and your computer are kind of an extension of you.
Just low bandwidth input output.
Exactly, it's just low bandwidth, particularly output. I mean, 2 thumbs basically.
So how do we solve that problem?
The bandwidth thing?
The bandwidth issue. I mean, we've all succumbed to it now. We're all cyborgs. We're just low efficiency cyborgs. So how do we make it better?
I think we've got to build an interface. We didn't evolve to have a communications jack, or some. So there's got to be essentially vast numbers of tiny electrodes that are able to read write from your brain. Of course, security is pretty important in this situation, to say the least.
I was going to say, I'm not coming with. I'm keeping my brain air gapped.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people will choose to do that. But it's a bit like Ian Banks' neural lace.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of neural lace, it's sort of that's there from when you're born, or it's more of
backup.
Sorry?
It's a backup.
Yeah, kind of a backup. This would be there's a digital extension of you that is an AI, the AI extension of you, a tertiary layer of intelligence. So you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and the tertiary layer, which is the digital AI extension of you. And that high bandwidth connection is what achieves the tight symbiosis. I think that's the best outcome. I hope so. If anybody's got better ideas, I'd love to hear it.
Talk about another project that you're working on that our audience wants to know a little bit more about, Starlink.
Oh.
Can you tell us anything?
Do you mean Skynet?
Hopefully not Skynet.
It's internet in the sky. Well, we don't talk that much about Starlink, but essentially it's intended to provide low latency, high bandwidth internet connectivity throughout the world. That actually will not be enough cognitive processing power on board the satellite system to in any way be a Skynet thing. Like it's the digital AI requires a lot of superintelligence, requires a lot of big servers on the ground. It's too power intensive. But this is intended to provide people with who don't have any internet connectivity with internet connectivity, and it's very good for sparse and sparsely populated and moderately sparsely populated areas, and for giving people in cities a choice of low-cost choice of internet access. But I do think it's going to be important. The Starlink system will be important in providing funding necessary for SpaceX to develop interplanetary spacecraft, and at the same time, helping people who have either no or super expensive connectivity and giving people in urban areas more of a competitive choice.
Very cool. I have to ask you because it's the number one question. Just going back to Mars, what kind of government do you envision for the first Martian colony? And what's your title?
Yeah, exactly. Emperor or God Emperor? I don't know. Might be too much. I don't know. If you watch my jokes here, not everyone gets irony. Remember. So I think I think most likely the form of government on Mars would be somewhat of a direct democracy, where you vote on issues, where people vote directly on issues, instead of going through representative government. When the United States was formed, representative government was the only thing that was logistically feasible, because it was no way for people to communicate instantly. A lot of people didn't even have really access to mailboxes, or there wasn't even really the post office was very, very primitive. A lot of people couldn't write. So you had to have some form of representative democracy, or things just wouldn't work at all. But I think on Mars, most likely it's going to be everyone votes on every issue, and that's how it goes. There are a few things I'd recommend, which is keep laws short. Long laws, it's like that's something suspicious is going on if there's a long law. If the size of the law exceeds the word count of Lord of the Rings, which it does, amazingly, then it's like something's wrong. So there should be a limit to the size of the law that you should be able to digest it. Like, how come you can read the Constitution and all of the amendments, like you can read those in maybe an hour? And we govern so much of our civilization by that, and yet modern law is this obtuse, super boring tome that's indecipherable to almost anyone. So I think direct democracy, laws that are comprehensible. I think having some kind of hysteresis on, like, it should be easier to remove a law than create one, because things just get to inertia. You have to have something that's going to overcome inertia. So probably, I don't know what the right number would be, maybe it's like 60-40. Maybe it requires 60% to get a law in place, but any number above 40% can remove a law. Otherwise, you just get laws just accumulate over time, and it's sort of like Gulliver, where you just get trapped by all these tiny strings and you can't move. You get hardening of the arteries of civilization with rules and rules and rules and rules. So it should be just easier to get rid of a rule than to put one in. Maybe they should even have like some kind of sunset clause, so that they just automatically expire unless there's enough of an impetus to keep them around.
I I know there's a fair amount of interest. I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about the very early days with Tesla and how it came together. Brother Kimball is here. So we bring him out. You guys can talk a little bit about it.
I'm Tom Steyer, and here's why we need you at needtoimpeach.com. The question isn't...
It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it.
Go is arguably the most complex board game in existence. Its goal is simple: surround more territory than your opponent. This game has been played by humans for the past 2,500 years and is thought to be the oldest board game still being played today. However, it's not only humans that are playing this game now. In 2016, Google DeepMind's AlphaGo beat 18-time world champion Lee Sedol in 4 out of 5 games. Now, normally a computer beating a human at a game like chess or checkers wouldn't be that impressive, but Go is different. Go cannot be solved by brute force. Go cannot be predicted. There are over 10 to the 170 moves possible in Go. To put that into perspective, there are only 10 to the 80 atoms in the observable universe. AlphaGo was trained using data from real human Go games. It ran through millions of games and learned the techniques used and even made up new ones that no one had ever seen. And this is very impressive alone. However, what many people don't know is that only a year after AlphaGo's victory over Lee Sedol, a brand new AI called AlphaGo Zero beat the original AlphaGo. Not in 4 out of 5 games, not in 5 out of 5 games, not in 10 out of 10 games, but beat AlphaGo 100-0, 100 games in a row. The most impressive part? It learned how to play with zero human interaction. This technique is more powerful than any previous version. Why? It isn't restricted to human knowledge. No data was given, no historical figures were given. With just the bare bones rules, AlphaGo Zero surpassed the previous AlphaGo in only 40 days of learning. In only 40 days, it surpassed over 2,500 years of strategy and knowledge. It only played against itself and is now regarded as the best Go player in the world, even though it isn't human. But wait, if this AI learned how to play without any human interaction, made up strategies of its own, and then beat us with those strategies, then that means there's more non-human knowledge about Go than there is human. And if we continue to develop artificial intelligence, then that means there's going to be more and more non-human intelligence. Eventually, there's going to be a point where we represent the minority of intelligence, maybe even a very minuscule amount. That's fine though, we can just turn it off, right? It's a thought, but think. When modern-day humans began to take over the planet, why didn't the chimps and Neanderthals turn us off? If this artificial intelligence becomes super intelligent and learns through and is connected to the internet, well, we can't just shut down the entire internet, there's no off switch. So what happens if we end up stuck with AI that is constantly and exponentially getting smarter than we are? What if it gets to a point that us humans get in the way, and the AI hits the off switch on humanity? When people think of AI, they tend to think of super intelligent AI. AI that serves the human race but could also end us at a moment's notice. But is this really going to happen? Pop culture, mostly movies, tend to depict AI not as benevolent creations, but rather as robots with malicious intent. Except for Tars in Interstellar, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can use it to find your way back to the ship after I blow you out the airlock.
There's a lot more to AI than you might think. There's a lot more types that serve different purposes. Artificial narrow intelligence, also known as weak AI, is the only form of artificial intelligence that humanity has created so far. It makes this sound kind of bad, but trust me, it does a really good job at what it's supposed to do. Narrow AI is AI that is created for the sole purpose of handling one task. It's the kind of AI that AlphaGo is. Narrow AI is good at speech and image recognition, and also at playing games like chess or Go, or even pretty complex games like Dota 2. At the International 2017 World Championship, OpenAI's artificial intelligence destroyed pro player Dendi 2-0. But much like AlphaGo Zero, it wasn't taught how to play the game. It played out millions of years worth of 1 versus 1 matches against itself and learned on its own. It started out barely knowing how to walk, and eventually as time went on, it surpassed human-level skill. If you use Spotify, you'll see that it creates daily mixes for you based on the music you listen to. Amazon learns from it, teaches itself your buying habits to suggest you new products. But it seems like a common reoccurrence where these AI teach themselves how to do the task at hand. How is that even possible? Well, through something called machine learning. It's the science of trying to get computers to learn and think like we humans do. Machine learning is essentially the same way that babies learn. We start off as small screaming sacks of meat, but over time, we improve our learning. We take in more data and more information from observations and interactions, and most of the time we end up pretty smart. The most popular technique out there to make a computer mimic a human brain is known as a neural network. Our brains are pretty good at solving problems, but each neuron in your brain is only responsible for solving a very minuscule part of any problem. Think of it like an assembly line, where each neuron in your brain has a certain job to do in order to completely solve a problem. Let's make a simple example of a neural network. In order to say that someone is alive, they have to either have a pulse or they must be breathing, but not necessarily both at the same time. This yellow dot represents a neuron in a neural network. It functions just like a neuron in your brain does. It takes in information and then gives an output. If this neuron takes in the information that says, hey, this person has a pulse and is breathing, then the neuron deciphers this information and says, okay, this person is alive. It learns to analyze situations where the human would be declared alive, if it's breathing or has a pulse, and situations where the human would be dead, where neither of those is true. That's essentially a bare-bones explanation of how it works. Of course, no neural network is really this simple. Many have millions of parameters and are much more complex than just this one-layer network. The world is full of sounds and visuals and just data in general, and we take in all of this to form our view of reality. However, as more and more complex topics show up with more and more data, it becomes harder and harder for humans to do this analysis on their own. This is where machine learning comes in handy. Machines can not only analyze data given to it, but also learn from it and adapt its own view of it. Let's go back to AlphaGo Zero. In only 40 days, it surpassed thousands of years of strategy and knowledge and even made up some of its own strategies. But how did it do all of this so quickly? Biological neurons in your brain operate at about 200 Hz. That's proved to be fine for us, but modern transistors operate at over 2 GHz, an entire order of magnitude faster. Those neurons in your brain travel through what are known as axons, and they travel at about 100 meters per second, which is pretty fast and gives us pretty good reaction time. But it's only about 1/3 as fast as the speed of sound. Computers, however, can transmit information at the speed of light, or 300 million meters per second. So there's quite a big difference between our brain's capabilities and a computer's. In just 1 week, a computer can do 20,000 years worth of human-level research or simulations or anything it is trained to do. A brain has to fit inside your head. There's a limit to how much space it can take up. But a computer could fill an entire room or even an entire building. Now obviously weak AI doesn't require an entire server room to run. Like we saw with OpenAI, it only took a USB stick. But for more intelligent AI, it may require much more power. Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI, is AI with more than a single purpose. AGI is almost at or equal to human-level intelligence, and this is where we're trying to get to. But there's a problem. The more we search into it, the harder and harder it seems to be able to achieve. Think about how you perceive things. When someone asks you a complicated question, you have to sort through a ton of unrelated thoughts and observations and articulate a concise response to that question. This isn't exactly the easiest thing for a computer to achieve. See, humans aren't able to process information at the speed of light like computers can, but we can plan things. We can think of smart ways to solve problems without having to brute force through every option. Getting a computer to human-level thinking is hard. We humans can create things, we invent things. We create societies and play games and laugh. These are all very hard things to teach a computer. How can you teach a computer to create something that doesn't exist or hasn't even been thought of? And what would be its incentive to do so? I believe AGI, or strong AI, is the most important artificial intelligence to be created, and here's why. Machine learning is exponential, meaning that it starts off rather slow. but there's a certain tipping point where things start to speed up drastically. The difference between weak AI and strong AI is millions of times larger than the difference between strong AI and super intelligent AI. Once we have the artificial general intelligence that can function like a human being, for the most part at least, it may help us reach superintelligence level in only a few months, or perhaps even weeks. But here comes another big problem. See, many people tend to see intelligence on a graph like this. We have maybe an ant here, a mouse at about here, the average human here, and maybe Einstein right here just above. If you asked most people where a superintelligent AI would lie on this graph, most would probably put it somewhere around here. But this just isn't the case. Although AI might not be at human level intelligence yet, it will be one day, and it won't stop at human level. It'll most likely just zoom past and continue getting on more and more advanced until, eventually, the graph looks something like this. This is what is known as the technological singularity, where artificial intelligence becomes so advanced to the point where there's an extreme explosion of new knowledge and information, some that might not even be able to be understood by humans. If we make a superintelligent AI, that AI would be able to improve upon itself, and in turn get smarter in a shorter amount of time, which means that this new and improved AI could do the same thing. It continues to repeat this process, doing it faster and faster each time. The first recreation may take a month, the second a week, a third a day, and this keeps going until it's billions of times smarter than all of humanity. Chimps, we share about 96% of their DNA. We are 96% chimp, but in that little 4%, we went from being extremely hairy and mediocre primates to a species that has left the planet. We're a species that plans to colonize Mars, a species that made missiles and millions of inventions, all compacted down into that 4% DNA difference. The number of genetic differences between a human and a chimp is 10 times smaller than the genetic difference between a mouse and a rat, but yet only being 4% different from them, their entire fate seems to lie in our hands. If we want to, for some reason, put a McDonald's on a chimpanzee habitat, we just do it, we don't ask. There are 5.5 quadrillion ants on the Earth. Ants outnumber us 1 million to 1, and yet we actually live like they don't exist at all. If we see one crawling on a table, we just smush it and move on with our day. What happens when the day comes where AI becomes the humans in this situation, and we become the ants? Superintelligent AI is different from software we know today. We tend to think our software is something that we program and the computer will follow our rules. But with highly advanced AI and through machine learning, the AI teaches itself how and what life is, as well as how to improve it. After a while, there is no need for any human interaction. Perhaps humans would even slow it down as opposed to speeding it up. We have to be careful about how we make it. As Sam Harris has stated,
and the first thing you want to do is not give it access to the internet, right? You're just going to cage this thing, right? So because you don't want it to get out, right? So, but you want to tempt it. You want to see if it's trying to get out. How do you know whether this is called a honeypot strategy, where you tempt it to make certain moves in the direction of acquiring more power.
For example, if we're somehow able to give a superintelligent AI orders and it follows those orders, it may just take the quickest and easiest route to solve them. Just because we make a superintelligent AI, that doesn't mean that it's going to be wise. See, there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. Intelligence is more about making mistakes and acquiring knowledge and being able to solve problems through that. Wisdom, on the other hand, is about applying the correct knowledge in the most efficient way. Wisdom is being able to see beyond the intelligence gained and being able to apply that to other things, in hopefully a productive way. If we give AI an order to solve world hunger, well, the easiest way to solve world hunger is just to kill all life on the planet, and then nothing would ever be hungry again. But obviously that isn't what we want. We would have to somehow teach the AI to have human-like values, a moral code to follow, and somehow work around that. In a way, we'd want it to be like a super-intelligent human cyborg. You may not even realize it, but the majority of humans are already cyborgs. Humans are already becoming less biological and more technical. We already put our minds onto non-biological things. How? Well, many of you are watching this video on that device right now. Phones. Your phone has become an extension of yourself. It can answer any question you could ever ask at a moment's notice. There's only one problem though. Your inputs are just too slow. If we were able to create a high bandwidth link between the brain and the internet, we would be literally connected to everyone and everything on the entire planet. This is what Neuralink is aiming to do. create what is known as a neural lace. Your brain has two big systems, your limbic system and your cortex, and these two are in a relationship with each other. Your limbic system is responsible for your basic emotions, your survival instinct. Your cortex is responsible for your problem-solving skills, your critical thinking. Neuralink is aiming to create a third layer to this. The AI would be like a third wheel in this relationship, but would increase our capabilities by multiple orders of magnitude. We all would have eidetic memories, picture-perfect memory. We would have access to all the information available to the world and be able to access it instantly. With the addition of this third layer, people may eventually realize that they like this newfound knowledge and way of living more than the alternative, more than living without this newfound AI that has been installed into them. Eventually, people may decide to ditch their human body, their biological self, in favor of the artificial world. This, of course, is a long ways away, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't think about it. There are, of course, many problems and counter-arguments that come up, and I'll address some of them now. For starters, how do we program something like consciousness? We don't even know what it is yet. How do we program something like a limbic system into a machine? Something that has a sense of fear, perhaps even a fear of death? Can a machine or an AI really love someone or show that emotion? Because if it can love, it can also hate, which could raise big problems for us in the future. This is a fear of many people when the idea of superintelligent AI is brought up. The biggest and most pressing question is, will it be pleasant or will it be hateful? Could it even be either of those things in the first place, and more importantly, is it even necessary? Sure, a superintelligent AI would have all the information in the world at its disposal, but then again, so do you and I. So do all of the people in the world with very radical views. Who's to say that a superintelligent AI wouldn't adopt these views as its own, and then decide to execute on those instead of what we had planned? Sure, it's possible that a superintelligent AI could improve upon itself using knowledge gained, but then again, it isn't pulling random improvements out of thin air. It's not just going to unite quantum mechanics and general relativity with raw mathematics. What if some of its upgrades needed experiments to be run? What if it needs more information? Is it just going to make it up? This leads into, what if the AI learned to lie, and then decides to lie to us about its accomplishments for its own selfish reasons? It's also possible that the progress of computing will slow down, and it looks like it already is. I mean, look at airplanes. In the past 100 years, we went from this to this. But like many things, there's a threshold that is hard to get past. But if we do get past this barrier, the upsides could be tremendous. It's almost obvious that superintelligent AI has the capability of making humanity billions of times better than it is today. But on the flip side, it could also be used as a weapon. Just think, like I said before, if this thing is running for a week and has access to all of the world's information, it could make over 20,000 years of technological progress. You let this thing run for 6 months, and you could potentially have 500,000 years or even more of technological progress. Imagine if this got into the wrong hands, and imagine the repercussions it would have. When you Google something, not only are you giving out data and telling a potential artificial intelligence what you're thinking, you're also telling it how you're thinking. We feed it all of our questions, all of our answers. If we were going to try and program a limbic system into an AI, we would be teaching an artificial intelligence what we're afraid of. Out of all the data in the world, over 90% of it has been created in the past 3 years. AI learned how to recognize faces. It learned how to recognize voices. It learns languages and then will eventually translate between them all seamlessly. This knowledge and information train could continue until it has went through all 100% of this data. This is why artificial intelligence is such an important topic. Superintelligent AI is the last invention that humanity will ever make. Once it's invented, it can't be uninvented. The technology and developments that could possibly turn the human species into immortal, godlike figures is coincidentally the same technology that could also cause the downfall of humanity. Many people are resistant to the AI because they fear it may have some of the negative traits that we humans do. It may be greedy. It may lie, it may be selfish, it may be rebellious, it may be short-tempered. The power of superintelligent AI is there, patiently waiting to be found. But the question is, do we actually want to find it?
Both clustering and classification are types of machine learning, but work in very different ways. And each can have a big impact on your business. In retail, for example, you can use data to see where customers have looked on your website
we want the future to be perfect, if we want to create the perfect super intelligent AI, we need to be prepared. We need the smartest minds and the best strategies in order to create the perfect super intelligent AI. Brilliant.org is helping turn people like you and I into the pioneers of the future of humanity. Topics such as machine learning and artificial neural networks aren't exactly the easiest things to grasp, but Brilliant does a great job at explaining each bit piece by piece. You can go in barely knowing anything about a topic and come up with a solid grasp on it before the day is over. If you're like me and are interested in the future of artificial intelligence, go check out Brilliant's courses on machine learning, artificial neural networks, and statistics. You'll be surprised on how easy they make it to learn. If you are one of the first 200 people to click the link at the top of the description, you'll receive 20% off of a premium subscription, and you'll be able to do as many of these courses as you'd like. We need smart people to solve the problems that we have with AI, so go get started today.
Essentially entering a new industrial revolution.
We're going to wipe out millions of jobs in the United States.
Well, how far we're going to go could easily be that everything that really can be automated.
I don't think it would be responsible to just let the consequences rip, and then we find that large numbers of people are displaced and miserable and angry and well armed, and we just figure, well, let's see what happens.
We're going to need machines that can go up and down stairs, go through hallways and doorways, handle broken concrete, and just generally go where people go.
I'm at a robotics show at the forefront of what is quickly becoming reality. Like poking around, can I give it a shot? Yeah.
It's going to start to be a pretty commonplace thing to see robots trundling around in buildings, on the streets, etc. And that's only going to grow and grow and grow.
Jonathan Hurst spun this company out of his robotics research at Oregon State University.
In general, people's lifestyles are going to change, and that's going to change the way cities look too.
This is a story about how robots will affect jobs. But first, we need to understand how far artificial intelligence and robotics have already come. Warehouses and factories are being run by robots as the lights are turned off to save on energy costs. Sensors that power autonomous movement are much faster than ever before. Cars and planes are operating by themselves. Robots are doing fine detail work and responding to our every move. They're entering the service sector, displacing fast food workers and baristas.
In 5 to 10 years' time, robotics is going to disappear from our awareness, because it is going to be what all of our smart products have and do.
Robots are replacing jobs like security guards with self-driving surveillance vehicles.
I said step away from the machine.
Seriously. Hey.
5, 4, 3.
What, really? We're not all the way there. This company had a few public mishaps, like this robot suicide in a fountain. I asked the CEO about it.
You're never going to learn without actually being out in the field.
So the kinks are getting worked out quickly, and today it's impossible to see such futuristic technology without wondering about the impact on jobs. An endless array of robots are entering our everyday lives. Pair that with advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, and the changes are hard to comprehend. Worldwide, 800 million jobs could be automated by 2030. In the United States, up to 73 million jobs are at risk. Changes like these have taken place throughout history, like the industrialization of agriculture. Only this time, it's on a far faster timescale. Jonathan said he, too, has concerns about job displacement.
Definitely something that can be handled well, as long as governments and policymakers are aware of these changes that are happening and planning for it and preparing for it.
You think we're doing that?
I do not think that we're doing that at present.
Numerous companies turned down requests to talk about the effects automation will have on employment.
You know, you don't want to write a banner over your company logo, "We are America's job killers," correct? So, like, that's the last thing that you want to do.
And one of America's biggest job killers may be driverless vehicles, already driving on our roads. This promo video shows Google's subsidiary, Waymo, operating self-driving vehicles on the road without a driver to take the wheel if something goes wrong. But companies like Google, Toyota, Tesla, GM, and Uber declined to discuss innovation or jobs, even as they greenlit the use of these promotional videos.
We're recreating a scenario where we had a pickup truck drive along the track and actually dump some hay bales out of the back randomly. So what you're going to see is our car senses, does a safe lane change, senses the next one, and also then changes back.
The vehicles are arriving faster than many might expect. GM announced that a vehicle without any human controls would hit the streets in 2019, and Uber placed an order for up to 24,000 self-driving Volvos last year.
The task for society with regard to car driving, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, truck drivers, is to think about what we want to do with people who are displaced.
It's not hard to picture the Uber and Lyft-based gig economies collapsing as self-driving cars arrive. Every day, those drivers are giving companies the valuable data needed to automate. Many in the gig economy are unwittingly teaching artificial intelligence how to do their jobs. 3% of the American workforce drives for a living, and that doesn't include hotels along highways, truck stops, restaurants, and other support jobs. Total trucker salaries alone add up to $300 billion per year. So it should come as no surprise that Uber got into the trucking business by building a technology platform for delivering freight, and by buying an automated truck startup called Otto.
If you're a truck driver right now and you haven't started thinking of getting some extra training, education or so, then you're in a difficult position.
So I went to meet up with some truckers at the Great American Trucking Show in Dallas, Texas. Trucker Brown was instantly recognizable because of his prolific YouTube page.
This is Trucker Brown. You got a little dog right here. What's going on?
He does videos on everything about trucking, and that includes automation.
This was an avenue for people to go in to pull themselves out of poverty and have a middle-class job and an honest wage. And they want it to be gone.
It's hard to overstate the importance of an entry-level, middle-class job for millions of Americans.
Got like 20 hours on this piece right now.
Every person that I see here is taking care of 4 other people, their family. Every single person you see. And that shows you how much trucking is feeding the country.
For Trucker Brown, the profession has given him a middle-class lifestyle where there are few other options.
When I first seen automated trucks, the first thing I thought is, what else could I do? And I ended up being homeless a few times and trying to find my way. My granddad was a trucker. My father's a trucker. I have 3 brothers that are truckers. My aunt's a trucker. If it becomes automated, that's gone. Then what are the blue collar of America supposed to do?
At the truck show, I met up with Todd Spencer, Executive Vice President of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association.
For the vast majority of the population, they really have no comprehension of just how essential trucks and truckers are.
Trucking is the most common job in 29 U.S. states.
It's really difficult to think that this is something that could be automated very quickly or very easily.
Like Todd, few of the truckers at the show believe automated trucks will arrive within the next decade.
Anybody who does technical backing in the docks or driving in inner cities.
Alright guys, I'm gonna get out the studio for a minute. When I come back, I will finish working on these bricks a little bit. But I'm getting kind of hungry. It's 6:30. I need to get something to eat. I'll probably sit back and play the video game for a little while too. I'll stream some live video games if you guys want to sit and chat and in the stream. But I think I'm done in the studio for the day. Let me put my phone back on the regular settings. Laptop. Turn the heater off. Turn the speaker off. Alright guys, I'm about to go get on some Ghost Recon. Come chill with me in the other stream. I'll set it up as soon as I get downstairs. Oh, wait. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Almost left out without cleaning some brushes. And that's a no-no. Alright. Yo, appreciate y'all chilling in the studio with me. We're about halfway done with this piece. Oh shoot. Yeah, we're about halfway done with that. So definitely stay on the lookout. We're going to continue to fill in that brick wall in the back. Bring those bricks in there and work on that gate right behind his head, and then we're going to do the couch and the bricks down there. So still having a lot of fun on this piece. It's coming along real nicely, and we'll be back in here tomorrow morning with some more art. Until then, like I said, I'm gonna go downstairs and I'm gonna get on the game console and start up a game stream if you guys want to sit and chill in there, and do that for a little while. If not, peace. Until next time.